Hey,
So who all we got here?
that's my son down below. I just reached out to him to see if he wanted to join in on the follow up, and then I reached out to Roddy a little while early, probably about an hour ago. I just gave him the link. He may not jump on. I don't know where he is. Probably got to call him. But right now, all you need is me. But I'd like to have my team listen, but I can get back to them at a later point.
Sure. Well, the first thing I want to say is congratulations for making it through the workshop. It's a lot of content. It sounds like you went through it pretty quick.
I did. I've been there. Like, as your dad talked, I've been through a lot of these situations and circumstances, and um, you know, I'm just ready. Like, there's a lot of things that you went over, and then once you find out what kind of content it is in my head and what I have access to do, like design, build, coming from a technical area of computer science, and just knowing how to do all the accountings and um, the spreadsheets. Like, I manipulate numbers and formulas and things like that. So it's like I'm just ready to be there, you know. And you being somebody that's been transparent and talking about that shield that I wear, that I want to talk to somebody like you. I don't want any more sugarcoat, because it seems as though, you know, I don't get anywhere when people are not straight up with me. They're thinking something that's uh I just let's get going. You know where I'm coming from.
I do. So, look, it's not every day I get to have a phone call like this, so I've got some questions. Like, in other
Okay.
words, what were your favorite parts of the workshop?
Um, my favorite part of the workshop and is basically once I came into the understanding that all of this counting and all of this you know, bean counting that I've been doing, it has put me up above a lot of my peers, but that's not what I had to do. I mean, I could have been, I can see through walls, so I could have been throwing numbers at bids and solicitations all this time just to get more things out instead of like counting everything down to down to the nail and then waiting for subcontractors to get numbers back to me that I already know, and then saying, "Oh, should I stomach how much fat do I put on this cow because you know I, I don't want to put myself out of the bidding for putting in so much effort, in getting it there, and then looking at the market and it's like, how are these guys making so much money, and I can't figure out a way to put more money in my line items. And when I give my customers or clients change not a change order, a estimate, I detailed out everything. So a lot of people go a la carte on me. And I try to tell them, I said, I'm not a la carte. I'm just showing you that I am giving you something that another contractor would never give you. They just give you lump sums. So don't come to me to try to negotiate my number. I'm just showing you it is what it is. And I don't have to go around saying, where did that number come from? You got it. Deal with it.
It sounds like we had a big impact on you. Was it everything I promised it would be?
It was everything that you promised it would be, because like I told my brother, I knew I needed to always get inside of a Caucasian company that did over multi-millions. I needed that. And that's why I wanted to get into 8A, just so I could see what I couldn't see. Right. And I team up with some, Caucasian men, and I know what they want to utilize my, this, but
Yeah.
once we get into the relationship and I start talking real, like my last, and I want you to talk to this guy to let him know or just find out really why he backed out, because a lot of people don't understand my forwardness, but that's the Marine in me. So I can't take that out and I don't want to take it out. But what I have come to find out is when I befriend these people or associate, and we said, all right, we got a plan, we're about to go get this money. When they find out how bright I am or how forespoken I am, they start to recede, and go away. It's like, what's going on here? You know? So the last guy said, hey, listen, now we have this agreement. We're mentor protege. Now maybe I can get ahead because the guys that are not giving me the contracts, they now have someone in the room that looks like them. So maybe I can, get some kind of work. I think he took it for an offense, but shit, I was talking honest. It's like, what the hell? I'm like, I know how bright I am. I know why I'm not getting a lot of public jobs. And I've been defending myself on getting my contracts reduced on site because I got to stay ahead of the game because they always coming at me. And if I don't stay sharp as attack, they got me. And I can't afford for any of that to happen.
Sure. Wow, that's powerful. How did you like the $100,000 letter?
I love it on its on how you open it up. And I'm gonna tell you, after I finished, I was trying to get into the documents because I need you to see my documents and what I've worked with. And then you're like, damn, this guy's got some good shit. I know I have some good shit, but I couldn't put it up against the guys that do 10 million or whatever to validate where I'm at. So I'm sitting there finished all this.
GC experts, part of the whole value of this whole thing is exactly what you're talking about. In the real world, you can't go down the street and open up somebody's door and say, hey, how the fuck are you doing this? But with GC experts, we open that door and we go, this is exactly how we were doing this. And I have been saying for a long time that talking about race in itself is racist, in my opinion. To me, if you just look at the world and you go, I have this, my wife's from Mexico, she's Hispanic, I give two shits about race. And we were having a conversation at dinner maybe 3 months ago, and I just looked at her and I said, what if it was a lottery? What if for all of humankind, every different color of baby comes out of every different color of people, and you never fucking know what you're going to get? Okay? Then there wouldn't be any of this bullshit. So, to me, even talking about walking into a Caucasian's office or walking into a black guy's office, I don't give two shits about that. Talking about that in and of itself is racist, in my opinion. Now, I can't control everybody else's opinions out there. That's just me. But look, let's just talk about business, right? The $100,000 letter. Let's talk about that for a second. The $100,000 letter, you got to understand from the contracting officer's perspective. They get a bid in, one bid, and it's for $1 million. And their budget is $900,000. Okay? Now, you've got a separation where you're $100,000 over what the government estimate is, and they can't award you the contract. Or let's just say you're above 15%, whatever that number is. But she can't award the contract now because you're above the government estimate by 15%. But does she want to get the contract awarded, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. What the $100,000 letter allows her to do is take a tool from you back to her budget people and say, hey, did you include this shit in your budget? It's giving her a tool to go, and she's going back there and she's saying, hey, did you put this in your budget? And they go, oh no, we didn't. So they raise the budget. When they raise the budget, now you're within that 15%. That's the power of the $100,000 letter.
Well, speaking on that $100,000 letter, if I had came into access to that not even 12, 13 months ago, I submitted a bid, um, sole source to me, 8A. They said it had a range of 250,000, and I got my numbers to like 187 or so. Then it came back, oh, it's not 250,000, it's 100,000. So I had to squeeze and tear away. Not that I
And
had
it's
to,
painful.
and I got it down to 99950. All right. But in essence, if I'd had the $100,000 letter, I would have had 86,000 or some odd
And
more
that's the whole
dollars.
thing is we're giving you tools for different situations that you already know you're going to be in. And that's the value of the workshop and the value of the membership program and the value of the relationship that you and I are building now. And oh, by the way, yes, the answer to your question is looking for a mentor that you can have conversation with about how all this stuff works. That's what this is. Do you have any immediate questions about what you saw?
Um, like I say, I can go and tell you everything in there, or you can ask me something and I'll give it back to you. But it's not that I could give you back what's in there. I am closer to you now because you have displayed situations that I have lived in. So, like, yeah, we could go and then you could tell me what site conditions, and I could tell you things change. Da 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 da. I lived through all of that. So, really, with your notes here, I also have volumes of notes of blended rates and acid ratios or whatever. I am just ready to
Ready to
work.
go.
I'm ready to go.
Okay, do you want to join the membership program? Is that what the
Uh,
next step is?
yes, I do, and I tell you what, I took out the Amex and I hit it, boom, and I tell you, yesterday morning I woke up and my wife was on me, whatever. She, I was so engulfed in getting this in on Friday. She sent a little sexy message to me or whatever, but I had already pushed send, you know. And like when I did that, I was like, I invested in myself. I never invested in myself. I got to get to this information. I need to know if I made a wrong decision. Da 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 da. That's the man in me. I just took food or whatever. Boom. So I go on, bang. I'm getting it in. I forget about Friday, whatever, and it's probably 4 o'clock in the morning, and I shut down on one, and I send out the notice, hey guys, day number one down. And then I wake up in another 4 hours on Saturday, uh, and I knock out day two, da 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 da, not seeing any of what's going on because I thought she was aware that I needed to go and get this. So she didn't bother none of that. But I got through Saturday or Sunday with the day three, and then I did day three again just to, because I fell asleep. I did day two, and then I started day three because I was like, shit. And I probably fell asleep in hour three, and then I woke up and it was like a couple hours like shit. So I let it run out, and then I started it again, and then I went back through it, and I was like, okay, now I got everything because my mind really did hear it, but I didn't want to risk the fact that how when you go in and out that it's that I lost something. So after that, I try to do Sunday with the family, whatnot, last little bit, and I'm not understanding that she has something in her mind. So come Monday morning, she's like, "Do you not love me anymore?" And da 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 da. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? I said, and I had to go through the whole thing, and I just invested 5 grand to get this in my head. I was like, it's nothing about you. I'm trying to get us somewhere, da da da. And I, I I just didn't know where it came from, man. I tell you, I went in the kitchen, I got the bottle of Tuna, because I was just like, bam, and then I screwed myself up for the whole day. And that's when we were about to talk, and I just said, man, I just got to lay it down, you
Yeah.
know, and I got some rest. But it's like I didn't know I was doing damage while I was getting the information in my head.
Sure.
So, yeah, the things we do just to get ahead. So now I got to reach down again and say, all right, when you went through, when you went through the program, and I see you open up the the files and the documents, bang, and I see all that. It's like, okay, that's what I'm here for. Then you mess around and you come over here to the law, and I was like, oh shit, okay, boom. And then when you do the pricing, it's like 600. I was looking for 600. It's like, no, I don't get the law until I do the fives. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? So now, I can't go like, it was like it was like, ah, I'm not gonna live right unless I get it all. You know what I mean? That's gonna be good, but I also need that law, and I need those things you're talking about, because like reading the FAR, that's all good and fine and dandy, but you all have grabbed the FAR
We
and
have.
constructed documents
This is
based
how
on that.
you apply it. Yep.
Yes. So that right there, I am the one that's usually going and creating the documents from scratch, whatever. But I'm not going to recreate the wheel if you already have it there and I already know how to put a wheel on. So,
Well, I can say this: you are highly teachable, my friend.
yeah. But that's what Roddy said. He's like, I let him know. I said, you told me that I was the first binge watcher, and he's like, man, nobody really knows how you take in data. Like I and my son down there, like that cat right there,
Uh huh.
it took me 40 something years to get where I am. And what I did is I've given him all of the cheat sheets, and he's rewritten all these things. So he's a humble monster, but in actuality, um, he skipped time, but he can be a little abusive if I don't get it on the right track and get some money flowing in, because he can be bought away from my company. You see what I'm saying? I've given him all this knowledge, and he is so valuable that somebody can buy him out if I don't get some flow coming in. So then again, I'll be by myself pulling this freaking ocean liner all by myself, not a tugboat, by hand.
Time out. I want to tell you something because father-son relationships are, as you can tell from the workshop, important to me. They're important to my dad, and I'll tell you that about 8 years ago, something like that, there was another guy. I want to say his name is Michael Sloan. He's easily Googleable. He's a construction teacher, but for like the handyman market. Very small contractors going out and doing residential stuff. But he's a version of my dad, but in a very different market.
Okay.
And this guy had written books, and when I say books, I mean big, thick books about the construction industry. I mean, this guy, and when we met him, I don't want to say he was 80 years old, but he was, not 60, not 70. He's old. And he was doing a live event. I think it was a day or two, and we went. It was $500 to go to his class, and it was nice. I mean, it was like in the Sheraton or the Holiday Inn in their conference room, and he had probably 30 construction guys in the class, and we just went because we just wanted to see how somebody else was doing it.
Okay.
And we watched this old, frail guy teach these guys for 2 days, had these great lunches, and everything was, it was just immaculate, the whole experience. So, in my mind, the margins for what he was doing were very small. In other words, $500 ticket, ours is a $5,000 ticket, But the two of them, Michael Sloan and my dad, were talking at night because They're both heavy hitters in what they do. And when we were walking to the airport, through the airport terminal on the way home, my dad looked at me and he said, "It's kind of sad." And I went, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Jesus, the guy's, 80 something years old, is still having to go out and fly around the country and do these little 2-day seminar things, teaching these guys. He doesn't have a membership program. It's just a one, he's making a couple $1,000s, to do all that work." And my dad looked at me and he said, "The only difference between me and him is that I have you."
And that's what I try to tell the people around me. Basically, is like the team I have around me, I have not utilized. When I say Roddy, do you know who Roddy is?
I saw him on the last Zoom call he had. He was in the car. He was the handsome guy with no hair.
But no, he has hair.
Oh, he
He has
does?
locks coming down. But do you know who he is?
No.
Roddy White, Atlanta Falcons, wide receiver, number 84, retired a couple of years ago.
I don't know anything about sports.
God,
My apologies.
all right, so he's a future Hall of Famer that I have on my team. But what Roddy and I's relationship is we came from Charleston. We were both I'm in the family like blood, and I was a wrestler. I was the first wrestler in our high school to bring home a state champion individually in like '93. Then after that, people started getting that blood, and so he became a two-time state champion. I was two-time. We went to the nationals, but it's a
Wow.
small group of us. And with that, he went off of football and da da da. But when he got drafted to the league, his parents and his brothers and cousins, whatever, reached out to me because they know I was a business person and say, "Hey, can you go stay with Roddy and watch over what's going on so nobody da da da." So, boom, I just I leave Charlotte, I go to Atlanta, and I'm just so I create businesses and things like that. But I don't utilize his wherewithal in anything I do until I got it 100,000% correct to be able to take a chance, because I've seen people utilize him when they got a fraction of the information and screw through that me and him have been together since '05. And me watching that, it's like I know where not to go. But if he hears me say I'm ready, then whatever, then boom. But I have never done that until I get validated that I'm not going to screw something up just
Sure.
because I didn't know. So even when I'm dealing with these other Caucasians that think that I'm just a regular, whatever, I never tell them, or sometimes I tell them whatever, he's there, but they're looking at me in another light, like maybe he can't bond, or maybe he can't whatever. I don't say that I can or not. I'm just seeing how the relationship's going to fulfill itself.
Well,
But
of course. That's why I talk about in these phone calls that it's just a conversation between two guys in the construction industry.
yeah,
That's all it is until next steps are taken.
yeah,
I'm totally with you on that, and I'm totally with you on the whole thing. When you mention a pro football player, what you're really saying, but you're not using the exact words that I use, is that it's the same thing as a lottery winner. The reason that lottery winners lose all their money is because they don't know what it took to make the money. And the reason that ex-football players lose their money is because they can't go back and do what they did to make all that money. Okay? And so that's the reason that you see such poverty in ex-football players, ex-lottery players, is because they can't, nothing can be redone. You can't go back and live the past. Okay? And so you are absolutely right to be very careful if you're using him as an investor in something, to make sure that it's absolutely right and you're making good use of a limited resource.
so I mean, this it's like, where do I go from here? I I need to be putting out these solicitations. I've got a rough solicitation with red areas like to fill in and whatnot. But for me not to see, and I did that on I think bid not bid tracker. there's another tool that generated me like a templates and response to RFQs, RFPs, whatnot. But I haven't fleshed those things out enough. I'm in the private market and I give estimates, like spreadsheet estimates. But when it comes to creating that solicitation and answering the questions how they want to answer, I haven't done enough of that to really fluidly give that out. But I
When
have a
you
technical
join the
proposal.
membership program, you're going to get post workshop emails, and there's going to be videos in there. Here's how to fill out the forms.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I cover all that for sure.
I do have technical proposals written that yes, have the last contract I had to do a technical proposal, but I haven't had eyes on it to say, dang, that
Yeah,
looks like shit or that looks great. But
you're going to get access to my technical proposal, and you can compare the two.
yeah.
And it sounds like you'll be just fine comparing the two. I mean, that's what you're telling me. Just give me the information. I'll decide what to do with it.
Yeah. And there's a document that I've been sitting on for about 2 years, that the BOS gave me when I said I've looked high and I've looked low, I've looked left, right, whatever. I said there are no construction projects for me that are 8A or service disabled in North Carolina, hadn't found any in South Carolina, nothing in Virginia. I said, what y'all gonna do? Like, are you gonna reach out? Like, what, like, they're like, I don't help you get the work or whatever. Okay, so why am I in this program burning up my time? And then, stop screwing with me.
I'm
So,
so sad that you didn't meet us 10 years ago. Man.
yeah. So they gave me a document that is like a direct equivalent award if I fill it out, and they say if you see a project somewhere, you go up and you say, hey, can you make a direct equivalent award, and you base it on this, and then you send it back to us, and then we try to get to I haven't yet to even be able to utilize that, and I'm thinking that's the candy land on how to have somebody help me write a contract for something to do. I just need to know where to look, how to get it, just and who to submit it to. And I got another son right behind this one. Like I told you, he's in college, and boy, that boy can write too. So it's not one. I've got two of them, and we
Well,
have good relationships.
now we know what to do with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Now the work starts, you know. The workshop's great. You got all the content, you got the information. You can refer back to it if you want, but usually just pick up the phone and call me. If you got questions, I got answers, man. I've been doing this for a long time.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that card out again. I would have liked to hit the 59, but I'm gonna do it the slow walk way. If I do it the slow $1,900 a month way,
You get the
um,
same access.
the thing access. Okay. All right. So
It's the same access. Don't worry
you know.
about it.
So and we know, like, I'm the guy that's getting hit, so I'm investing. Can we just kind of say, hey, call Dave and make sure that he's put a couple out, because I want him to get something in his hand in the first month or two of work.
You're gonna be getting automated emails from me the moment that you click that button on the investment in the membership program. All you got to look. I can't control what happens on the other side, but you'll always be getting consistent and constant contact from me that says shit like, "Hey, did you do this? Hey, did you fill this form?" Okay, you're going to be getting that.
Okay.
At any step of the way, you just hit reply or you hit text or you hit whatever, and you have instant access to me. I mean, I answer my phone 18 hours a day. All right? If I'm awake, I answer the phone. If I can hear it ring, I answer the phone. If I'm in a movie and the phone rings, I walk out of the movie and I answer the phone. Because people don't fucking call me to ask about the weather in Austin, Texas. They call me to ask me about questions about federal contracts. And there's nothing more important than that. That's it.
I have a question. I do. Buyout. Buyout. Um, that is going to be the primary utilization of me moving through this, so I don't always have to be man on site, or correct? Can you
Well, I
explain
mean,
a buyout? What are you really saying by buyout? Is it
okay, yeah, what I mean is, so if you remember from day 2 of the workshop in the morning, I talked about who the 6 people were and what the process was in our office for moving a federal contract from the very beginning stage to the end stage. Okay, and I'm going to repeat part of that right now. The process starts with bid tracker. You got to figure out what opportunities you want to go after. Okay? Then you download the plans and specs by clicking the sync button. You open up and you decide, is this a job I want to bid or not? Okay? Now, at that point, there's kind of a fork in the road. Do you bid it based on experience? Do you bid it by calling subcontractors and getting numbers in and putting a profit margin on it? There's multiple methods, okay? But you get that bid in and you make sure it's responsive, okay? In other words, it's a good bid that they can take action on, okay? Then the next step is holy shit, we won, we got somebody on the hook. They're either calling us to ask us to accept the offer, or it's an IFB or an RFP and they've awarded the contract, but eventually you get a contract, all right? That's the next stage starts. That's when the buyout starts. What buyout is every single requirement in that contract assigning responsibility. Whether that's through a subcontract agreement, whether that's a purchase order for material, whether that's telling your son that he's going to have to, go out there and superintend this job. Whatever the process is for buying out the job, for assigning responsibility for the entirety of that contract, okay, that is the buyout.
okay? All right. Not in terms of when I used to think of buyout, I was thinking buyout as getting the contract and down there assigning it over to another company. You don't have control of it, but it's not that.
No, buyout is the response is assigning responsibility so that you've got no holes in your contract. All right.
Okay.
The
Okay.
last thing I want to hear, look, I don't know if I talk about this in the workshop, but from time to time I would do a buyout. Okay, I'd have an HVAC company, I'd have an electrical company, I'd have a framing company, I'd have an insulation company, I'd have all these companies as subcontractors on a job. And then
Yes.
all of a sudden, some guy calls me and says, hey, who's supposed to be installing the doodad? And I go, well, what doodad are you talking about? And basically what's happening is there's some little doodad in this contract, some little widget, some little something, where the electrical guy's going, well, that ain't in my scope. And the HVAC's guy going, that ain't in my scope. And then the framing out whoever, nobody's saying that doodad is in their scope.
Correct.
And I look at those 3 guys and I go, you know what? There's only 3 subcontractors on this job. You guys all had the plans and specifications. I can tell you one thing for sure. That doodad in there, it ain't my responsibility. It's one of you 3. So you 3 decide whose doodad that is. And if you can't decide, I'm going to decide for you.
That brings up something else. Me, I fund my own jobs based on, everybody, just like you say, get on the project and they're supposed to have the financial wherewithal. But some people just get on the project so they can roll you in the first week or so, you know, because they're not financially fit. And you say, hey, I'm doing all these projects, but I dare not kick them out a mobilization check or whatnot until they, you know, do some work in progress payment. That has been my shortcoming because I only accept jobs now that the client is going to fund me at least 30% and mobilize me because I already know if I don't get funding in the front, that my subs are going to try to eat me alive, and then my project's going to unravel based on them not be able to fulfill their obligations. I want to get these subs tied up in a subcontract early on. I want to get to the process of tying them in to do a buyout. So I can initially say that, um, y'all figure it out. But a lot of times I'll get on a project and damn sure I'll have some guys that, we just had a word of mouth
That's
agreement,
right.
you know?
Look, I'll just tell you that it's the best way to explain this. So, in my early days of project managing, when I was a superintendent, I was just the dumb idiot out on the job that was coordinating things, you know? But eventually you get a seat at the table and your brain shifts from this is what I was to this is what I am now. And you've got a seat at the table and you're controlling things. And when you have to talk to subcontractors and you have to say, put your big boy pants on, we're in business now, we have an agreement, this is what the agreement says, and you're going to live up to the agreement, and if you don't live up to the agreement, this is what's going to happen. Okay? And it's not personal, it's just business, and businesses come and go, and you're in this situation now because you signed on the dotted line. Okay? A lot of people see that type of communication and go, that guy's an asshole. And
I have to play asshole all the time. That like it's not my emotions, it's the Hollywood that I have to put on. Just
it
like I tell
is.
my son.
And
I
for many years, I played the role as the asshole. But what happened was when you're holding people accountable for a living, all right, and you're the asshole, what happens is it runs off into your personal life. And I damn near lost my marriage over it because I was holding her accountable because it was just my personality.
I gotta go home right after this because you just said it. I'm telling you, it does run off because I never I can't shut this shit off.
No, it's, yeah. And what I'll tell you is that now, after 3 decades of doing what I'm doing, you know, as you notice, when you grow older, the testosterone ain't quite what it used to be, and you get a little softer around the edges, and I have a wonderful relationship today. But yes, I remember the days when I was holding people accountable for a living and playing the role of general asshole. And but at the end of the day, you just got to tell people that you and we can disagree. It's like when I teach the subcontract agreement with the you can't file a lawsuit. You have to take me to binding arbitration first.
I was
What
about to
we
tell you about that.
what you and I can do is we can disagree, and then we
Yeah.
can let a judge. I'll give you a perfect example. And on the topic of a black man, Ben Eady and Marcus Eady are two clients of mine. They're brothers. They own a company called Stilton, Stilten. You can look on usaspending.gov, but they're clients of mine. And 6 or 7 years ago, if you Google me, you will find that they filed a lawsuit against me. Clients of mine that I taught to go get $15 million worth of federal contracts named me in a lawsuit. And we agreed to let a judge make the decision. It wasn't personal. We just disagreed. We let a judge make the decision. The judge made the decision in our favor, not theirs. That's fine. It's public information because a lawsuit was filed. And Ben and Marcus are both still clients of mine. We still talk. I love those guys to death. We just agreed to disagree and let a judge make a decision.
Speaking on that, 2014 municipality job. I am a large contractor's minority participation. I'm the only one at the table. And they did some collusion with my subcontractor and ran my numbers up 80 grand. And I did find myself in arbitration. And they thought that they were going to run away with the bag and put me out of business, but I take daily reports and very well. And the men on site stood up for me and say, hey, yeah, the lead did do that or whatever, but I'm not letting it happen. And sure enough, big firm had to um pay the ticket. But since they did not kill me, crush me, delete me, they don't want to. They say this is the word that I got. They don't like my boldness. Why the fuck can I not be bold?
You
What
can.
the fuck is that?
That's somebody who doesn't have an argument.
So 2014, and that's what has me always on the, because I know at any given moment that I go over 250,000 and I'm not the prime, somebody's out to kill me. If I am not the prime, they're looking for ways to hold up my pay app. Had
Well,
it done.
we only teach to be the prime, so you're
Okay,
never going to
yeah,
hear from me be a subcontractor. That's
okay, yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. I hear it from my BOS at the SBA, and I had to let them know I'm not sitting there to go.
No, you want control of the money for sure.
Yeah, correct, correct. So just as long as you know, I've been down that road and I learned about that clause. As soon as you said that clause, yeah, I was like, look at this guy. I said 2014, I can write that clause backwards, forwards, and I make sure it's in every one of my contracts because that I know that is what's going to help me not be brutalized by a sub in all actuality.
Yep. Oh, I'm glad you took that to heart. I love it.
So, all right. And I probably got like 3% on my computer screen, but I'll jump over if need be. But I know what I got to do. You've heard me. I think you know who I am. I just don't want to have to hold my tongue when I'm speaking to you.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say it out of my mouth. I just wanted to say it out of my mouth so it wouldn't, like, hey, I know we all know, but I got to say it out of my, so we can't ever say it wasn't ever said.
No problem. Because you're never going to hear anything, God, what are they, sugar coated from me.
Yeah. So here I go, and I tell you, like, I'll probably disappear for another 48 hours once I get access to the files. I'm gonna go tell my wife I love her and kiss her, whatever. But and I'm gonna tell her, hey, I just invested again, so you already know what's about to happen. So,
Yeah.
and then she texted me this morning. She's like, she says, she's like, money can't buy my love. I said, baby, I'm not trying to buy your love. I'm just trying to keep food on the table. Like it's a difference. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I don't. She doesn't see it, but at any given moment that I don't keep the flow going out here in the streets, this my
Yeah.
shit dries up.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And look, you're a smart guy. I'm sure she's a smart lady. I've had the same relationship with my wife for 22 years, and when I get into the mode of we need to increase profit, increase revenue, increase work mode, she knows that you got to go do what you got to do. She lives a good life.
And that's all I'm trying to do. Like basically, it probably looks like I live a pretty good life, but you know what I do? I don't spend on myself. I spend on my surroundings and whatnot. Like I keep this spider web around me, making sure that all of the nodes are intact.
Yeah,
But
you're paying attention for sure.
yeah, I live on less. I don't eat much. I don't look. I kind of like. I just stay in reserve. I stay like this, and I wait for time to pass or whatnot to get through these things. Because when I move around, I know I get expensed. So I was like, shit. If I'm moving other people around, they're expensed. So let me stay put as long as I can, and let them utilize this expense until I can get into an understanding where there's so much profit that I'm not worrying about that the
Yeah,
black and the red line.
when you get to a point where you don't have to worry about money, it sure frees your mind to put a lot of things into perspective. And I tell you, I wish that for everybody. I wish that for you. I wish that for everybody in my program. I wish that for everybody in my life, because I've had that freedom for a long time, that I don't have to worry about money. And that concept is so freeing, because it just allows you to take the time and put everything into perspective and use your time to the most effectiveness that it can. Because look, we all are ticking time bombs, right? I mean, we've only got so much time left, and when you have that kind of freedom from the time perspective, and typically it's money that provides that, it's life changing, and I can't wait for you to get there.
And speaking on time, when you all bust down those hours, I, I was like, shoot, as soon as my son sees this, because I have on the door basically 365, and then I bust it down into hours and days, and then I take the weekends off, and I got the 270. I was like, this is all we got. All of that stuff you talk, I have it on the wall. So I'm always looking at every piece of morsel of time.
Yeah, this could. I can see how this was life affirming for you, not life changing, life affirming.
Validation, the
Yeah.
validation, the validation, so I can break outside of this fear of making a mistake. I know I will make a mistake, but I don't need to be making a 20 or $30,000 mistake. Run overs is three to six or $1,000. Yeah, there's no way that we can get away from those. But
Yeah,
if you got
I
push,
tell I tell everybody on my team, we're gonna make mistakes, and when we do make mistakes, we're gonna come up with a brilliant solution so that that shit never happens again. And that was the whole thing about my career working for my dad. He said, "You're gonna run into problems, and when we run into problems, we're gonna come up with a brilliant solution, because everything is repeatable. Everything in life happens over again." My grandpa used to say, God's going to keep teaching you that lesson until you learn it.
tell me this. Your dad said this. He's like, yeah, I'll get these jobs and I'll just send Sean's ass on and take care of it. How do you all split the money? How's the money? How, like, you know, it,
Do I tell that story in the workshop about parking my boat at my dad's lake house?
give me a little bit,
So
parking it
get
at,
this. So get this. I don't talk about this very often. This was like around 2003 or something. We're doing 20 to 40 million dollars worth of federal contracts. I'm a project manager, and I'm working for about $1,000 a week. But I don't have anything to compare that to, because I've only ever worked for my dad, And $1,000 a week, it was plenty of money for me. I was in my 20s or early 30s or something, and that was, plenty of money. I didn't know what other people made. I had no idea. I didn't really even know how much money we were making. But my dad was a federal contractor my whole life. I mean, I tell people he was making $1 million a year personally in 1980s money. Like today, that's like $10 million a year. I mean, so I was raised, when I saw that TV show Silver Spoons when I was a kid, I was like, well, every fucking toy that kid's got, I've got too. I wasn't all that impressed. So I was raised in a different environment than most kids were raised in, because my dad had a lot of money. We had a big swimming pool, big house, fucking new Mercedes cars in the driveway. I was raised as a snot nosed, upper level kid. But I didn't have anything to compare it to. That was just the life I was living, right? Those are the cards I was dealt. Some kids are born princes of England, it's just the lottery, right? But so as a young man, whoops, I lost you. I guess he was down on that 3%. I'll tell this story another time, I guess.
Yeah, he just texted me. He was about to jump on his phone.
Oh, okay. I'll hold then.
All right.
So anyway, my dad always had a lot of money. So in 2003, or early 2001 or something, he bought this big retirement house. And when I say big, I mean this thing was 3 stories tall. It was 400 foot of lakefront property. You know, every retired professional football player you could name had a house in this particular area. And my dad had probably the best house in that area, and it was right on the center of a cove on the lake. I mean, it was everything you could ever imagine. So he's got this boat dock. So on the weekend, now this boat dock was down on the water, and it was a hill to get up to the house, and you had to walk up through the trees and you know, to get up to the house from the lake. And then one weekend, I can actually show you on Google Maps. But one weekend, I pull my boat up and I park it on the dock, and there's concrete. There's a concrete driveway all the way from the water, all the way up that hill to the house. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. That had to be $200,000 worth of concrete. You know? I mean, I'm just looking at all this new concrete going up from the water up to the house, and I'm thinking, that concrete had to cost $200,000. So my dad greets me at the boat dock, and we're walking up this brand new concrete driveway up to the house. And I said, Jesus Christ. That's got to be $200,000 worth of concrete. And he looks at me and he goes, yeah, it's actually $300,000. Now, when he said that to me, I was thinking in my head, we have enough money that we can write a check for $300,000 for concrete? Like, what the fuck? And when he said that to me and I thought that in my head, the next Monday I went in and I said, I want more money. And he gave it to me.
But I got to get to the money first.
That was when I realized how much money we were really making. That my dad could just write a check for $300,000 for fucking concrete for his house.
Yeah, but you just put something in my son's head. I can't write a check for $300,000 because, you know, I need him to see that basically his dad is trying to make something shake. And I'm faking it till I make it, but we both have sense beyond the regular person. We both have more sense than the common person. We just got to get to the opportunities.
Well, to answer your question, I was making $1,000 a week, and that's what I was making. I was making basically $50,000 a year, something like that. And I did that for many years, and it was enough money for me at the time. I have no idea. You know, I make significantly more than that now, but in those days I was making $1,000. I think it started at $800 a week, and then I got a raise to $1,000. And it wasn't until I realized how much money we were really making before I asked for more.
Gotcha. All right. Okay. All right.
How other companies do it, I have no earthly idea.
I guess we'll come into some kind of understanding, but you know, I'm gonna need them. You know, I can't be everywhere.
Well, you know, the value of a father-son relationship. Look, I don't know about you guys, but I could always trust my dad. My dad would always tell me the truth. I never had to worry about my dad ever telling me a lie. And my dad is, to this day, honest to a fault. And I'm honest to a fault. At this point, I got nothing to lie about in my life. You know, I just told you guys about a lawsuit that was filed against me. I mean, the facts are the facts, but if you call the parties in the lawsuit, we're all friends today. Hell, I told Ben Eady the other day, I said, dude, I love you. I'm so glad that you're in our program.
All right, so here comes step 2.
Okay, guys. I'm here
All
for you if you need me. I assure you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. JR, do you have any questions for Sean?
Dude, nope. I've been here just listening.
Are you happy
Okay.
with what you heard?
Yeah, I am.
Good. Did you learn anything?
Well, he hasn't taken the course yet. Basically, I dove in. I'm just now resurfacing.
Okay.
You know, I'm just now resurfacing. So, yeah, I've got to download on them. But first I need to get to the documents.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
You too.
Bye-bye.
On construction services, have you always been paid 100% of what the agreements were on every project?
No, I've been paid more.
Well, you've only done federal contracts, right?